going to be amazing. So they're looking at, based on numbers that I was looking at 6 months ago, 7 months ago, I was very concerned about the economy. We're going to have something that's like nobody's ever seen before. We have numbers and we have job generation that I don't think we've ever seen before. See how it works out, but I think the economy is going to go through the roof. Okay.
Mr. President,
Yeah, please.
about Ukraine, in an interview with Time Magazine published this morning, President Zelensky said he believes that some members of your team have been influenced by Russian information. Those were his words. What do you have to say to that?
Well, probably they have been influenced to get this thing settled because Ukraine wants to see it settled. I think they have to have it settled, and Russia wants to see it settled. And I think if I weren't president, this would never happen. Marco's doing a great job, and Steve Witkoff has been incredible. Michael Waltz. We have a great group of people working on it, and that takes a good part of their day, settling something that really, well, it affects us monetarily because we've given so much money, and we're getting that done. In fact, Scott is telling me that the agreement on rare earths is just about completed. They'll sign it shortly. So it's, as you know, Europe is in for a very small fraction of what we're in for. It affects them much more than it affects us. Again, they are in as a loan, which nobody knew until I came along. Europe is giving the money to Ukraine as a loan. We were just pouring money into Ukraine. It was a very unfair situation. So we made a deal on rare earths. But most importantly, we want to stop the killing that's going on. 2,500 on average, mostly soldiers, a week are being killed. And they're Russian and they're Ukrainian, and if we can stop it, that's a very important thing to me on a human basis. Okay, anybody else?
Are you signing the rare earths deal today? Is that what you mean?
No, we'll be signing it soon.
So on Ukraine.
It'll be signed very soon.
May I ask another question on Ukraine?
Yeah.
You recently mentioned the fate of all the Ukrainian children abducted and transported to Russia.
Right.
So are you demanding that Russia return these kids to their families in Ukraine?
Well, it's one of the things that we're talking about. I know that no decision's been made. We're talking about territory right now. We're talking about lines of demarcation. We're talking about power plant ownership. Some people are saying the United States should own the power plant and then work it that way because we have the expertise to fix it up, et cetera, et cetera. It's okay. That would be something like that would be fine with me. But they are talking about ownership of the big nuclear power plant in particular. But all of these things will come up, and they have come up, and that has been discussed, yes. Okay. I want to thank everybody very much. This was a great meeting. These are phenomenal people. We're lucky to have them. I have to tell you, I want to thank you all. And Elon, I want to thank you. I know you've been through a lot with this horrible situation that happens.
Voting the cause, you know.
That's right, saving America.
It's very unfair. What he is a patriot. Here's a man that I can tell you, he's a friend of mine. He's become a friend of mine. He supported me in the election. That's when I got to know him. Really, I knew him a little bit from the first term, but not much. But he's a patriot more than anything else. He's never think of it. He has never asked me for a thing. He could have. I always say, I wonder if he's ever going to ask me for something. And that's always subject to change. And if it does change, I'll let you know about it. But Elon has never asked me for a thing. I mean, I got rid of the electric car mandate. I have no idea how that affects him, but possibly not good. I don't know. But he's never asked me for a thing. And I think that's an amazing tribute. I did get activated last week when I saw what they were doing. I said, he makes an incredible product, and we're going to go out and tell people you can't do that stuff and support him. They got to support him, because if he wasn't doing this, he wouldn't have any of these difficulties. And I think it's getting less and less. Pam has done a great job with regard to all of the, I mean, I know the kind of investigations that are going on. If she finds them, which she will, she already found 4 of them. But I think they're going to suffer very grave consequences, because they're really terrorists when you think about it. They're terrorists at a high level. And I think the people that are financing them, they could very well be people I know, people that you write about. But those people are in big trouble, so they better cut it out. But Elon's a patriot. We want to thank you very much for the job you're doing. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
How many more arrests do you expect in the next week on that?
Well, there you go. That was Donald Trump there, just concluding the chairing of his third cabinet meeting. What did you think to that? I've got to say, I found it interesting there that he ended that meeting essentially with a round of applause for Elon Musk and a reflection on some of the appalling goings on there when it comes to the protests that people are making about they don't like what Elon Musk is doing with his Doge campaign. They don't like Donald Trump, so they think to themselves, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set fire to a Tesla. I'm going to take my key out of my pocket. I'm going to scratch a Tesla as I walk by, and I'm going to do all kinds of stuff. Many people rejoicing, of course, at the impact that you've seen on those Tesla shares. What do you make to it all? Yes, indeed. Hello there. It's just gone 6 o'clock, actually. How rude that Donald Trump doesn't wrap up because he knows that we're all sitting here waiting for the start of Dewbs & Co. One of these days, he might just learn. But until then, this is Dewbs & Co. We are live and we're with you until 7 o'clock. And each and every one of you are very welcome indeed, as is my panel. Two new faces to the show tonight. We like that. It is indeed MP Monday. We've got Esther McVeigh, the MP, the Tory MP for Tatton and Graham Stringer, the Labour MP for Blackley and Middleton South. Good evening to both of you. Good evening. Very welcome tonight. And you know the drill on this programme. You can join the conversation all the usual ways. Email me, gbviews@gbnews.com. Go to the website, gbnews.com/yoursay. Or, of course, you can tweet. Or you can X me if you haven't already sat there and gone, do you know what, I'll never use Twitter ever again because I don't like Elon Musk. You know, when you see all of this, I do think there's been what I would call, many people would call, Trump derangement syndrome, where people can't control their anger about Donald Trump. But I actually think that's now rolled out a little bit, and it now incorporates Elon Musk. There's so many people having absolute meltdowns, Esther. They don't like Elon. They don't like Donald Trump. And we've all seen some of the horrific footage. You've got protests, you've got organised boycotts, you've got Tesla's being set on fire, keyed, you name it. What do you think to that?
Well, it's criminality and they can't control their emotions and there's no excuse for that. There's no point saying, oh, because he did electric cars, maybe he attracted a certain sort of person, maybe of the left, maybe who was environmental, and they feel, because I've heard this, they feel let down because actually things like freedom of speech, the economy, you know, patriotism made him a Republican. And I can only think that jealousy, that anger, that disappointment in him has driven them, A, bonkers, but B, to do this criminality. But like I say, there is no justification for it. And the sooner they are locked up, put in prison, and the key thrown away rather than using it to scratch your car, the better.
Yeah, and it's not just, of course, in America where some of this stuff is happening. We've got all kinds of organised billboard posters and protests taking place here. You've got a national day of action to try and stop Tesla. And Donald Trump there was basically saying, like, asking the question, who is it that's funding these people? That is $1 million question. I've never liked this kind of concept, Graham, that just because you disagree with someone politically, and there's no problems with that, we have democracies, America's democracy, we're a democracy, but because you dislike someone politically, there will be these kind of movements then established to literally cause commercial harm to those people, whether it's Tesla or whoever it is, because you don't like their opinions. What do you think?
I think the first thing to do in politics is try to respect the people who are disagreeing with you. Because in that sense, you're paying respects to democracy. You probably listen better to the arguments if you do that. But we do live in a democracy, and if people want to boycott goods, that's up to them. I started off in politics as a student, boycotting Barclays Bank because they were investing in South Africa. So there is and I think that's legitimate. If you don't like what a business is doing, you don't buy their products. So I think that's legitimate. What isn't legitimate in a democracy, as Esther says, is violence and damage to property. And I think mainly on the left, but on the right as well, there are extreme people who think that their ideas are so pure and they're right and they have a better view of the future of society than anybody else. They have a right to disrupt people's life, to damage property, and I don't approve of that at all. In the end, it undermines democracy. And in a sense, Trump and his supporters at the end of the last presidency represented the worst aspect of that in one of the world's great democracies when they launched their attack, or his supporters launched their attack in Washington.
You see, I really do find this concept quite interesting. So when you even look at Twitter, what people do, so it's fine. If you want, I don't know, if you want to sit there and you say to yourself, I don't want to buy a Tesla, I don't like Elon Musk, I'm not going to buy his car. Good for you. So what? That's your choice, as you say, that's up to you. But this is more than that. This is a deliberate, politically motivated, organising, galvanising and somehow funding a collective action to try and commercially destroy a business. So they've tried it, for example, with the likes of Twitter, as it was known, X as it is now. Tesla, of course, they're trying to get it to go the same way. So for me, it's gone beyond that individual choice. And it's like when you look at what they've done with Twitter, for example, and it's all about trying to get advertisers to come off that platform. And I personally think that the way it's all orchestrated, to me, it's a form of commercial bullying. It's gone beyond individual choice. It's gone beyond democracy. And it's now, in my mind, political bullying, and is wrong.
Well, there's a form of civil disobedience bubbling up there. There's a form of sort of revolution bubbling up there. It has gone beyond the realms of acceptability, which, as you say, if you don't like something, don't buy it, don't go there, don't have anything to do with it. But they can't cope with that, ignoring it, passing on by the other side. They feel they have to go in and disrupt and destroy it, which I think is the worst part of human nature getting involved there. Now, whether they see it, and again, I'm not justifying it, they see it that the enormity, in a way, of Elon Musk, maybe they think they can't harm him in any way because he's now got control of Twitter or X. He's got, he's gone into politics. Maybe they think he's so big that it doesn't matter what they do to him because they can't hurt him. I'm not agreeing with that. But then when it all multiplies up, like I said, you're moving into this social unrest. And I think this is going to be one of the biggest difficulties for democracy to control going on, because that respect for one another has disappeared, because you think you're the most important person and what you want to say and what you want to do trumps all else when it shouldn't.
Some of it is bullying. Politicians, decent politicians anyway, some give in, have to stand up to people who come to their surgeries, who put leaflets out and say, the most recent example is over Gaza, if you don't vote this way on Gaza, then we'll not vote for you. And I think you have to stand up and say, this is what I believe in, this is what's right. And if you don't do that, you yourself are demeaning politics. And I think, similarly, in the commercial world, that's right. If you think your product's good and you just give in because people say, if you don't do this, we will put a black mark against you, then you're basically not doing yourself and your product any good. Whereas, as Esther said, I mean, a good example is where people go over the line is Extinction Rebellion, because they believe they're saving the planet. What they know is right. They have to do it immediately, otherwise the planet will burn tomorrow. And I think they disrupt people going to work. They disrupt people who need ambulances to get them to hospital quickly. And I think that's completely wrong.
Did you think as well, Graham, people are now seeing the West as weak? They're not seeing the police having a sort of a zero tolerance to crime. They're not seeing people locked up, so they think we'll push the boundaries further, we can go even further. And that's where you have seen young people saying they want to vote, not for necessarily communism, but this strong sort of dictatorial or autocratic rulers who can keep control of a country.
I think it's slightly different from that, Esther. People, if you go to lockdown, where we had similar views, you saw some people demonstrating, and those people who were about Extinction Rebellion was a good example. They were allowed to go out, mix in quite large numbers. But if you went out and said what the government is doing, restricting people's liberties is wrong, which is a legitimate civil liberties view, people were hammered with £20,000 fines on the spot. So it is... Sometimes the police stand by, but they don't always stand by in an even-handed way. And I think that really riles people.
And I think there is something in this zealotry, this almost religious zeal people have got. So whether it is about the climate, it means they become unhinged, I'd say, and not being able to control their actions. I think that's what we're seeing. And maybe there is something in that green... I can only call it pseudo-religious, and maybe that's the movement that's coming out about Elon Musk, because, as I said, he started off doing electric cars.
Well, yeah, Elon Musk actually tweeted or X'd yesterday, as it happens, and said, I just want to say thank you to everybody supporting Tesla in the face of relentless attacks. He's previously called the violence. He's saying the level of violence is insane and deeply wrong. Tesla ultimately just makes electric cars and has done nothing to deserve those evil attacks. He was responding there to a video of one of these cars apparently, allegedly, being set on fire. I've got to say, I just don't know who you think you are. Who do you actually think you are to sit in your house and say, do you know what, I don't like Elon Musk, I don't like his politics, which is fine, it's all a democratic state, but then what makes you then think, because I don't like Elon Musk, I'm going to go up to this car that this hard-working person has bought, I don't know, they might use it to ferry their kids around or whatever it is, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set fire to that car because I don't like Elon Musk. Who do you actually think you are? It is so disgraceful, and it absolutely needs clamping down on. Where are you on it all? But look, we've got a lot to talk about matters in this country. Spring statement coming up this week. I want to know, what do you want to see in that? What do you think actually will be in it? I also want to ask you about MP's pay, which is handy, given I've got two MPs on this panel. They're going to be getting a pay rise up to nearly £94,000. I also want to talk to you as well about the primary school who've decided to scrap their Easter celebrations because it's apparently not very diverse and inclusive. But don't worry, because they are still going to support and invest their time recognising Refugee Week. Well, that's all right then, isn't it? I'll see you in 2.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Jason, actually, who worked for William and Kate, came out, and he worked for them between 2015 and 2021, I think. He came out and actually said, no, these allegations are there, and the Duchess of Sussex has always denied any allegations of bullying.
Yeah.
But these were accusations that were levelled at her when she was over here at Buckingham Palace, and also, interestingly, we have seen last year in particular allegations of her bullying TV production staff in America. So now these are allegations. Meghan obviously denies everything, but it does make you wonder there's no smoke without fire to have those allegations. Certainly bullying young junior members of staff, reducing people to tears. In the UK and in America, you do have to wonder whether this is lots of people who have axes to grind or whether it's actually true.
You and I would have been brought up in similar working environments, and I look and I think I wouldn't even go here with Dawn Neeson, because what we were used to, and I'm not saying subjected to, because everybody got it. There were loud voices, there was threatening behaviour. I had telephones thrown at me, cups thrown at me. I had a typewriter thrown at my feet, an Adler typewriter. And that was, what's wrong with this script? I don't know.
Was this Shelley bosses?
Yeah.
Most of the bosses I work for were basically psychopaths.
Yeah. Well, look,
it made them more driven.
I don't feel wounded or harmed by it, but what I do realise is that you could never replicate, you could never in any way say to anyone, what the heck are you doing? Because you're aggressive to it. Although I don't see it as aggressive, but just you need to point out to people where they're doing things wrong. So I don't know how, in this day and age, you actually get people back on the right track or not.
GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Hello there, welcome to Dewbs & Co with me, Michelle Dewberry, with you till 7 MP Monday. We like those. What a treat. Esther McVeigh and Graham Stringer. Esther, of course, the Tory MP, and Graham for Labour. Now, Alvin, you make a very good point on Twitter. You say, please, can you point out to people, it's not just minor kind of damage against some of these cars. You're talking about the likes of people planting what many people think are bombs and trying to blow up these dealerships. You're absolutely right to point that out. It's awful. It's absolutely awful.
That's
Connor,
lawlessness.
Yeah, Connor says, look at Michelle basically having a meltdown, simply not seemingly unable to understand why people are protesting against Musk. Are you seriously suggesting life in prison for keying a car? No, Connor, I'm not suggesting life in prison for keying a car. I mean, quite frankly, you'd struggle to even get life in prison these days if you go around murdering children, so I won't hold my hopes for anything. But what I'm saying is, this is absolutely wrong. Many people are calling this, in my inbox, politically motivated terrorism. And actually, there's an argument for that description to be accurate. Jim says, Michelle, what are you talking about? I thought it was the left that were the tolerant ones. I hear you. I absolutely hear you. It's appalling. And one of my viewers says, Michelle, GB News have experienced people coordinating boycotts in the same way. Yes, we have. And I also think that is very disgraceful indeed. Keep your thoughts coming in. Look, spring statement then this week, isn't it? We've all been looking forward to this. It's a budget. There's not really a budget, remember. Let's get our terminology right. But many people are saying it's going to be some kind of crisis emergency budget. So you at home, your question is, what is it you think you want to see in this spring statement? Let me ask you, Graham, what is the key things that you're looking forward to and expecting to see in this spring statement?
Well, expecting and hoping are slightly different. What I would hope for is that the government seems to be running two contradictory policies at the moment. The Chancellor of the Exchequer and the Prime Minister say they want growth, and the Department of Energy are following policies that help growth, but not in this country, in China, by purchasing lots of goods from China. Basically, history has shown that you only get growth in an economy if you have competitive energy prices. And we are paying, both for industry and domestically, some of the highest energy prices in the world, not just locally. So I would like, I'm not sure we're going to get it, that to be equalised out. What I think we're going to get is a very worried Chancellor saying that all the slack she'd put in the budget has disappeared, and there will be cuts. Well, we already know there are going to be cuts in the welfare budget. There are going to be cuts in the number of people employed in the civil service. But I don't think that deals with the fundamentals, because all the services we need depend on a strong economy. And while we've got high energy prices, we're not going to get them.
Do you think your government's doing a good job?
In patches. As a Labour MP, I have criticisms of it, which I've voiced. I think, unfortunately, the first 2 or 3 months of the government, it looked like they'd wasted 14 years in opposition, not really thinking through the policies. I think now we have had something like 15 or 16 reviews of policy. You don't want... I don't agree with Trump, but at least he came in hitting the ground running. And I think we should have been in that position. So in that sense, I'm disappointed. I think the Chancellor, she has subcontracted some of the policy to the officials in the Treasury. I don't believe she really wanted to get rid of the winter fuel allowance. The officials have wanted to do that since Gordon Brown introduced it, because it's out of line with all the other welfare payments. That caused the government a lot of upset. It caused the electorate a lot of upset. And I think we have to row back and get back to a clear position where a Labour government is doing what most people who vote Labour and are in the Labour Party want, which is to provide decent services that help those people who need it, usually the less well-off and the poorly in society, and we're not doing that. So there's been 800,000 increase in people on unemployment, not employed at the present time. We need to look at that, but hitting PIPs, PIP payments, is not necessarily the best way to go about it.
Yeah, and I saw a very strange interview over the weekend, actually, with Rachel Reeves, where she was basically defending her previous decisions in her budget and basically saying if I hadn't done this stuff, we wouldn't have had all this extra money to essentially do things like increased defence spending. And she had to have it pointed out that actually there was no extra money. You'd rediverted that money from essentially the foreign aid budget. I thought it was very odd. Anyway, what do you think we should be seeing in the spring statement, Esther?
Well, it's going to be a very bad day for Rachel. I'd say bordering on humiliating day. You know, she'd said we're going to have growth, and we know now growth will have halved. I know it was a puny 0.2%, and now it's nearly a non-existent 0.1%. There's so much. I mean, I think that she did wrong from sort of, I'd say, a business point of view. And remember, the businesses are the employees. They're the ones bringing the money into the country. And I think it must have only been her who wouldn't have realised when she brought in the employers' nick increase, when she was crushing the farmers and the small family businesses with changes to their inheritance tax. Only she must have not thought that was going to cripple the economy and sort of slow down employment rates. So she then ran round frantically, didn't she, when she knew she'd collapsed the economy, knocked out the confidence, knocked out the wind of it, knew that the businesses were pulling the horns, and she went round and to departments, quangos, anybody saying, who can give me growth? She even went to China saying, can you give me growth? Didn't get any of it. And then she's come back and she said, I better cut, I better slash, whether that is numbers of the civil service or whether that is PIP. But because there is no strategy behind what she's doing, she's going to miss on all accounts. The 10,000 is a drop in the ocean when it comes to the civil servant headcount. It's increased by about 100,000 since 2019. And the 5 billion from benefits, well, actually, what she does, if you look at it from pre-pandemic to the next 5 years, she's just stopped it going up by 49 billion, and now it'll only go up by 44 billion. So really, it's going to be a disaster, and all of the things that she comes forward with are not going to work either. She's desperately scrambling around to try and not break her fiscal rules and try and adhere to what the OBR want from her.
Yeah, but if she was here now, I imagine she'd listen to what you've just been saying then, and she'd be saying, well, hold on a minute, Esther, you're saying, oh, yeah, she's just tinkering and cutting 10,000 and the civil service headcount has increased exponentially since 2019. She'd probably be sitting here now going, but that was all on your watch.
No, I'll tell you what was on her watch, and I think this shows her inexperience, and I will say Rishi's wealth of experience when it came to money. We knew we'd come out of lockdown, which was a disaster. You knew you'd had the Ukraine war. We knew inflation had gone up, things were difficult, but he had just started to get things back on track. Inflation had come down, interest rates had come down. She should have done what Tony Blair did and said, let's keep to his financial rules for a little while, whilst I see what is going on. And actually, obviously, and Starmer came in with absolutely no policies. Before they stumbled in with what they were going to do for benefits, they should have put a plan in place. The stuff that I did with IDS, we'd been working on it 3 years before we came into office, and it was about making sure you had a buoyant economy so there were jobs, because you need jobs to cut benefits. You cannot cut benefits when there is no jobs there for people to go into, and she has collapsed jobs, and now she's trying to say people can't have benefits, PIP or what have you, but she hasn't done the groundwork.
So what I'm hearing, and what a lot of people will be hearing, is you're essentially saying, or many people will hear you saying, that maybe she's not the right person for the job, or maybe she's not up to the job.
She's not up to the job.
But then people will say that about a lot of other MPs and a lot of other politicians. A lot of viewers will think that a lot of people in Parliament, for example, are not up to the job. So when they've heard the news today, then, when many of you will have heard the news today that MPs are going to be granted a pay rise, which will essentially take them up to nearly £94,000. It's a 2.8% pay rise, basically. A lot of you at home will be sitting there listening to things like that and thinking, you know what, there's so many people that are not up to it. Why are they getting all this extra money? There's been... Well, let me ask you, you're both MPs. Do you think, and I understand the process, this is an independent body that goes away and figures all this out and then comes up with the recommendation. Do you think MPs should be getting a 2.8% pay rise?
After the MP's expenses scandal, when everybody was horrified by it, the decision was taken by Parliament to take that responsibility away from us. Prior to 2011, MPs had set their own salary, and people objected to that. Very few other people, unless you run your own business, set their own salary. So it's somebody else's problem. You can argue it both ways. You pick
No, I know how it works. I know how the process is devised. I'm asking you as an individual MP, do you look at that and think it's absolutely right and proper that I'm getting this 2.8% rise? They've made the right choice there.
Well, what I'm saying is we don't have to think about it.
No, but I'm asking you to think about it.
Well, I don't think about it. That's the point.
Well, you must have a view. You must sit there and think.
Well, if you look at other parliaments, some get more, some get less.
It's
impossible
about an MP. I'm asking because it's a blanket salary rise for an MP. You're both elected MPs. I'm going to ask Esther the same thing.
It's not comparable to any other job, is it? Because there's not a market for it.
I'm not asking you to compare it to any other job. I'm asking you, as we stand, it's been recommended that MPs get a 2.8% pay rise.
Let me answer that question this way. I've been in politics all my adult life. When I was leader of Manchester City Council, with a lot more responsibility than I've got now, I earned less than a street sweeper. I now earn a lot more money. I do the job because I think it's important. And I've been at both ends. So I didn't say I'm not doing this job because I'm paid less than a street sweeper. And I'm not saying I'm doing this job because I'm going to be paid £93,000. I do the job because I think it's important to represent people as best I can.
Right.
But equally, the 2.8%, by the way, is because the independent body have decided that the MPs...
Why.
No, let me know. No, you don't. You haven't.
I do know. Well, everyone knows the process.
Michelle, can I just explain? The 2.8, which is what you were talking about, comes from, it's an average of all the other public sector pay rises, and that they deem as fair. But like I said, if people don't agree, and it's been through various processes, and now it's absolutely with an independent organisation, that is how it was probably deemed best to do it. And the pay increase comes from an average.
Just give me a quick yes
or
no. Do you think it's the right decision? Do you think MPs should be getting this pay rise? Just yes or no?
As an average of everybody else's, that was what was deemed acceptable. And I'm saying, listen, if you don't like it, what do you want?
I'm asking
Dewbs?
you, yes
what do you want? What do you want, Dewbs?
My salary is none of your business because you don't. no. This is
okay. Why is it not? Yeah, no, go on, tell me why.
You don't pay my wages, Esther. Whatever I get paid, whether it's £10 an hour or £10 million an hour, is irrelevant to you because you don't pay my wages.
No, well, I'll tell you something.
My viewers pay your wages.
Yeah.
And they pay yours.
But what I love is when people think, like you are doing there, telling me what I am or not allowed to work.
I haven't said anything.
No,
and you won't.
You to. No,
do you think you should be getting a pay rise? Neither of you are able to say yes or no.
No, and I am saying I earn less as an MP than I did doing other jobs.
I'm just asking you, do you think you should be getting...
No, well, I will tell you when you tell me what you're earning.
But I find that
well, there you go.
What's my private sector earnings got to do with public sector?
Well, why do you feel you can ask us those questions when you're not prepared to do it yourself?
I pay your wages, and let me tell you now, and so do all my viewers, for the avoidance of any doubt, if anyone wants to give me a pay rise, if one of my bosses is listening to this, and you say, Michelle, do you want a pay rise? Yes, I do. Yes, I absolutely deserve it. And no, I've got no qualms in saying that. I don't understand why neither of my politicians can tell me whether or not they think they should get a pay rise. But anyway, we've been rudely interrupted. These two will probably think it's a great thing we've been interrupted. Donald Trump, go on. Oh, we're not going back to Donald Trump. I thought we was going back to Donald Trump. Anyway...
He was too interested in what we were talking about.
Well, I bet if I said to Donald Trump, do you think you should be getting a pay rise? I bet Donald Trump would be able to answer whether or not he thinks he should be getting one. I just can't get my head around why two people are not able to say whether or not they think they should be getting this pay rise.
You know, if I weren't getting the pay rise, Michelle, I would still be doing this job. I was explaining the process. So for me, it is an important job to do, and I do it every day of the week. It is part of my lifestyle and what I do. So that's what I will tell you. If I didn't, whatever is deemed that I shall get, I will be taking.
And I'm thankful that I don't have to answer that question. It's taken out of our hands, so I don't have to go and say, well, I voted, as used to be the case, for whatever it is. I don't have to answer it. That responsibility has been taken away.
Because it was seen the best thing to do.
Yeah, because we were seen to have self-interest.
Well, as a taxpayer who pays the salaries in part of all of the MPs, as you guys do at home, I just find it really odd.
Well, what would you pay us? What would you pay
us,
us, Michelle? What do you think MPs should be paid?
Well, I would actually have less of you and pay you more. I would actually have less MPs, pay you more, and I'd restrict the amount of things that people can put through expenses.
And you know, the ones who thought they were staying would probably agree with you. It's the ones who you then have to choose who aren't going to be there might disagree with you.
Well, I don't know. You guys at home, you're not backwards in coming forwards, are you? You'll have very strong opinions on this. What do you make to it all when it comes to MP pay? Do you think, because I know some of you actually, I remember having Rupert Lowe on here and he was saying that MP should get paid £250,000. And lots of you agreed with him. Get in touch and tell me your thoughts. But look, if you're listening and you're sitting there thinking, spring statement, what will be in that spring statement? What a treat for you all, ladies and gents, because we'll have all of this coverage live on Wednesday. Not just that, oh no, we don't stop the goodness there. There'll be a live studio audience and you, yes, you at home that's been enjoying this conversation, you can be a part of the conversation. Get your phones out, take a picture of that QR code on your screen. It'll give you all the details. You're very, very welcome to be a part of the audience and the debate. That's Wednesday, 6 o'clock, live here. We shall dissect the spring statement. We'll find out whether or not we're going to be wealthier, whether or not we're going to be poorer, and we'll have it out whether or not we think it's fair or not. So you can join in. But look, we've got a lot to talk about after the break. I want to ask you, Easter. When you think of primary school kids and Easter, I think about nice hats and bonnets and all the rest of it. What do you think about? Apparently one primary school thinks about diversity and inclusion and thinks it might all be a bit much. So guess what they've done? They've scrapped the whole lot, but worry not, because they will support and celebrate Refugee Week. What? I'll see you in 2.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, here's your latest winter sun forecast brought to you by the Met Office. We'll see some warm sunshine across parts of the Mediterranean over the next few days, but plenty of showers too. And certainly on Tuesday, a mixture of sunshine and showers across the Canaries, across Madeira. Fewer showers across Spain and Portugal, so some sunshine here. But notice across the central part of the Med, plenty of showers, some heavy, even thundery showers around, and brighter skies the further southeast you go across Turkey and Cyprus. Over the next few days, showers mainly in the east, brighter skies the further west you go.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The latest GB News Travel.
Good evening to you. I'm Johnny Ratner. Here is your latest. There are major problems in Lancashire this evening on the M65. The westbound carriageway of the motorway is blocked. Junction 10 at the Burnley exit. Lorry caught fire this morning and recovery work continues. Tyne Weir, the A19 is closed northbound from the Sunderland Highway up to the A184, the Tesco's roundabout as you head towards West Bolton. It's all down to an accident. And in South London, the South Circular is blocked in Catford Hill and Faversham Road, just west of Catford Gyratory, following a serious accident, leaving a number of buses having to divert. And that's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, welcome to Dewbs & Co with me, Michelle Dewberry, till 7 o'clock tonight. Esther McVeigh, the MP, the Tory MP for Tatton, and Graham Stringer, the Labour MP for somewhere that I would call Blackley and Middleton South. But one of my viewers has got in touch and said, Michelle, please can you ask Graham to educate you on how to say Blackley?
Blakely.
Blakely.
Yeah.
Oh, right, OK. Well, there you go, then. I will consider myself absolutely schooled in the geographical pronunciation, then. Thank you very much for that. Look, lots we need to talk about. Some of my viewers, we've just been talking about MPs' pay and what it should be. One of my viewers has just said, Michelle, what about having performance-related pay? How would that work? I mean, I don't even know if I dare ask you two about performance-related pay, because you didn't ask my first question about rates of pay, never mind mechanisms of pay, but performance-related pay for MPs?
Well, you do, don't you? Because you have so many emails, so many letters, so many people wanting to see you that you've got to do. And obviously, if people aren't happy with what you do, you will be voted out. So there is a way to remove you. But there are so many things you'll do every day, so many speeches you have to do, so many communications you have to do, because otherwise you soon find out if your local community is unhappy with you.
It's almost impossible to have performance-related pay. There's one MP who I think since the general election has spoken 2,000 times. Esther will know who it is. Does that make him a more effective MP?
I want to know who it is now. Who is it?
It's a DUP MP.
Oh, yes, yes. Jim
Right.
Shannon, he's going to be in the World Book of Records for the amount of times he speaks. He is unbelievable, actually.
Well, I'll tell you, it might be in the World Book of Records. I think, by the way, then, I think the short version of that was a no, a negative. I don't think performance-related pay is going to get...
And you'd be voted out.
No, well...
Depending on the safety
You can
of your
do
seat.
one thing. Say, Tris Mullen years ago, he campaigned for people who'd been imprisoned incorrectly. He must have spent a lot of time on that, and he did it very effectively, got them released. Or you can do 25 different things. How do you weigh those different things? You can't really, can you?
Well, you can be the final judge of that then, because lots of you are getting in touch saying performance-related pay. So what KPIs, what indicators would you attach to it, and how would you actually manage that? We could do a whole section on MP's pay, that's what I'm feeling. But look, very briefly, everyone, one of the things that was supposed to be coming down, shall we say, it's a good job this was not a key performance indicator because Labour would be losing it, is the amount of money and the amount of people that are in migrant hotels when it comes to asylum seekers. Don't forget, the likes of Keir Starmer, etc., was saying we're going to try and get rid of these ASAP. Long story short, he's now had to accept that actually we're going to be needing these things for many years to come. And some people, by the way, they're making an absolute fortune off these things. The whole thing, if you ask me, is turning into a racket. Graham, your thoughts?
It's a disaster, isn't it? Both political parties have promised to reduce the number, and both have failed. We're failing at the moment. The Conservatives, who had it in 3 or 4 manifestos, failed even more comprehensively. And you have to look at the reason we failed to reduce the numbers. While we've got a semi-deregulated marketplace so that people can come here and get jobs off the record, we're going to attract people to come. There's no way of tracking them. There's a decent benefit system. People who have not, in my opinion, have not got any entitlement to stay are allowed by our courts under very strange interpretations of the law, and we don't seem to be able to guard our borders. So unless we change a whole series of policies and laws, this situation isn't just going to be bad as it is now, it's going to get worse. So we've got to have a fundamental change. I got into politics to change laws, not to adhere obsessively, really, to laws that were passed 70 years ago.
Esther?
Well, I think you know, Graham's right there. The world must see us, or the people coming here, as an easy touch. They arrive at the shores, they get somewhere to live, they get food to eat, they get, looked after. And we, as a country and political parties, have been behind the curve. There has been a definite weakness in there about what you will have to do to prevent people coming here, to stop people coming here, and those who are here, particularly those who are illegal here, how to get rid of them. Now, I've always been strong on this subject, and I believe we should still have Rwanda. I believe we need a third country, and if people destroy the documentation as they come over to the UK, you see, there's nowhere to send them back to. There has to be a third country, which was Rwanda, to send them to. So I feel we were getting things in place, and I think that was another mistake that Labour got rid of it straight away, because that is the only way you can get rid of people who destroy the documentation.
Well, it's one of those things that we'll all have to pontificate it for many years to come, whether or not Rwanda would have worked, because really, we'll never know. As Esther just said, it was straps, wasn't it, before it was even had a chance to perform or not. But look, I'll tell you something else that's been scrapped, ladies and gents. A primary school has scrapped their Easter celebrations because apparently they didn't feel that they were very diverse or inclusive. Excuse me? I'll see you in 2.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Heading into tomorrow, more cloud across central and southern parts with some spots of rain. Brighter in the north, though, with some warm, sunny spells. A different story tonight, though. Cloudier across the north with outbreaks of rain spilling in as a result of these frontal systems moving through this evening and overnight. Most of the rain largely light, but we could see some heavier spells across exposed coasts and northern areas. Eventually, this cloud and rain sinking southeastwards, moving into northern parts of Wales, northern parts of England too, and quite blustery for a time, particularly across Scotland. Across the south and southeast, staying dry with clearer skies and lighter winds, so it's likely we'll see some mist and fog by the morning, and it will be a slightly chillier start here too. Across Scotland to start the day into tomorrow, most of the rain will have cleared away, perhaps just leaving a remnants of cloud, and can't rule out the odd shower just skirting across the Northern Isles, and still rather blustery here too. Quite a murky start across Northern Ireland, grey skies and some quite low cloud, and fairly similar across northern parts of England and Wales too, perhaps even seeing some spots of rain and drizzle. Across the south and southeast, a brighter start once any mist and fog clears, but through the course of the morning we'll continue to see this band of cloud and rain sink its way southwards, so any brighter skies soon being replaced by cloud, but any rain largely petering away. Turning brighter across Scotland, Northern Ireland, seeing some sunny spells here, rather dry but still the odd shower just skirting the Northern Isles, and with lighter winds it should feel rather pleasant in the sunshine with highs of around 14 to 15 Celsius, but even where we see that cloud linger across the south, still rather mild for the time of year. Into tomorrow with clearer skies, likely more mist and fog to start the day, perhaps some patchy frost. But through the course of the day, as a ridge of high pressure builds, there's going to be plenty of sunny spells, particularly across central and southern parts. But we'll soon see a change once again into the northwest with more cloud and outbreaks of rain here. And it's likely the majority of us will see more rain as we head towards Friday, quite windy at times, and temperatures returning more towards average.
This spring, the Chancellor steps up to the dispatch box to make a statement. But what kind of statement will it be?
Taxes, spending, growth, benefits, cost of living. What's changing? And more importantly, how does it affect you?
Does she have the headroom to make headway?
Will it ease the squeeze or tighten the grip?
Will businesses boom or struggle to survive?
And does the spring statement have real impact, or is it just political posturing?
GB News brings you the analysis that matters. Just what it means for your money, your home, your future.
The Spring Statement 2025, Wednesday on GB News.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Hello there, welcome back to Dewbs & Co. with me, Michelle Dewberry. Alongside me, I've got Esther McVeigh and Graham Stringer, both of them MPs. Oh, we've been having some feisty debates on this programme tonight, ladies and gents. One of my viewers has just told me to pack it in. Apparently, I'm ranting a little bit too much. Where have you been? Have you never watched my programme before? I need to go for a lay down after some of my shows, I can tell you. Look, I tell you, there's a lot of support coming in for Elon Musk. If you missed that, you can watch the programme back at the start. We was talking about people doing all kinds of things because they don't like his political views. But look, I've got to touch on this before I say farewell to you. A primary school in Hampshire, they've now cancelled some of their Easter celebrations. This is all about essentially trying to respect diversity and inclusion. In the same letter where they announced that they was cancelling these things, Esther, they've also gone on to say what they are going to do, though, is celebrate Refugee Week. What do you think to some of these decisions?
Well, I think the headmistress has completely gone bonkers and lost her way. I'd put it on the extreme side of politically correct. I'd call her a left-wing loony, no doubt. And I would say, if I was the governors at that school, I'd be holding it to her account and saying, this isn't what we do. We are a Christian country. This is a Christian belief. I don't think Easter offends anybody, certainly not bonnets and Easter eggs. And I would have that decision reversed.
Well, I'm an atheist, but I think this country has traditions. Christianity is one of them. Celebrating Easter and Christmas is one of them. And you can't be diverse if you try to eradicate the history of the majority population here. So I agree with Esther that had
So we're going to be celebrating Easter with bunnies, with bonnets and with eggs.
Yeah, and good. I mean, anyone that's got kids, that is part of one of the joys, isn't it? You all sit there, if you're anything like me, try and make your kid look as daft as you can possibly get away with, the most elaborate thing plonked on the top of their heads, and that is indeed part of the fun. I do have to say that the fella that put this letter, because it was written in a letter from the headmaster, he basically put it on like a closed school Facebook group. Anyway, he apparently feels awful now. He's saying that the school has had such a backlash. He wishes that he hadn't have posted that letter. The school themselves, they've responded and said that they understand the change may be disappointing for some, especially those who have cherished that tradition over the years. But they believe that this decision aligns with their values of inclusivity and respect for diversity. I would not be happy if I
wouldn't be sending my kid there.
No, I wouldn't be happy with that, because what I would worry about is a slippery... Everyone talks about slippery slopes these days, I know, but if you're going to cancel Easter, and in the same letter, so this is not me conflating the things, by the way, the headmaster has conflated these, that headmistress has chosen to use the one letter to reference Easter and then simultaneously reference Refugee Week as an example of inclusivity. What are you going to do next then? You're going to cancel Christmas? because apparently that's not diverse. And I bet my bottom dollar, I mean, I am on a bit of a rant tonight, I grant you that, but I bet my bottom dollar, this school that don't want to celebrate Easter, I bet they're still having their Easter holidays though, aren't they? I bet my bottom dollar that if I go around there, those teachers and all the pupils will be on annual leave, holidays, whatever, because of Easter. That, apparently, they don't mind doing that. That's not divisive, is it? Look, who's this? Casey says, Michelle, Esther McVeigh is right on the subject of pay rises. If you missed that, you'll have to go back and watch it. Casey said, it has been taken out of the hands of MPs exactly to avoid the kind of conversations that you've just been having. This is what the public wanted, and this is what the public have got. And Michelle, quite frankly, you are wrong on this one. Well, there you go, Casey. I'll consider myself tall. Good job I've got thick skin, because I don't care. We'll still have that conversation again. I bet my bottom dollar, probably this time next year, I should imagine. Look, lots of you as well getting in touch about this Easter situation. You also think that it's a bit peculiar, if not wrong, that these kind of traditions have been scrapped. But look, let's see what happens next, shall we, on that one. But for now, that is all we've got time for. Your first show. You're very welcome back. If you want
How did we do? Rubbish!
Yeah. Well, there you go. The viewers can be the judge of that. What I should do is I should get one of those clap hands on the screen. So, you know, you're talking about performance-related pay. We could do, like, show performance, and you could all have a little button. One of these things, I don't know what this is, but there's a little button here alongside me. No idea what that was, but we should use one of those one of these days. But anyway, today is not that day, so I'll say thank you very much. I've enjoyed the show. Hope you have as well at home. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Heading into tomorrow, more cloud across central and southern parts with some spots of rain. Brighter in the north, though, with some warm, sunny spells. A different story tonight, though. Cloudier across the north with outbreaks of rain spilling in as a result of these frontal systems moving through this evening and overnight. Most of the rain largely light, but we could see some heavier spells across exposed coasts and northern areas. Eventually, this cloud and rain sinking southeastwards, moving into northern parts of Wales, northern parts of England too, and quite blustery for a time, particularly across Scotland. Across the south and southeast, staying dry with clearer skies and lighter winds, so it's likely we'll see some mist and fog by the morning, and it will be a slightly chillier start here too. Across Scotland to start the day into tomorrow, most of the rain will have cleared away, perhaps just leaving a remnants of cloud, and can't rule out the odd shower just skirting across the Northern Isles, and still rather blustery here too. Quite a murky start across Northern Ireland, grey skies and some quite low cloud, and fairly similar across northern parts of England and Wales too, perhaps even seeing some spots of rain and drizzle. Across the south and southeast, a brighter start once any mist and fog clears, but through the course of the morning we'll continue to see this band of cloud and rain sink its way southwards, so any brighter skies soon being replaced by cloud, but any rain largely petering away. Turning brighter across Scotland, Northern Ireland, seeing some sunny spells here, rather dry but still the odd shower just skirting the Northern Isles, and with lighter winds it should feel rather pleasant in the sunshine with highs of around 14 to 15 Celsius, but even where we see that cloud linger across the south, still rather mild for the time of year. Into tomorrow with clearer skies, likely more mist and fog to start the day, perhaps some patchy frost. But through the course of the day, as a ridge of high pressure builds, there's going to be plenty of sunny spells, particularly across central and southern parts. But we'll soon see a change once again into the northwest with more cloud and outbreaks of rain here. And it's likely the majority of us will see more rain as we head towards Friday, quite windy at times, and temperatures returning more towards average.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The latest GB News travel.
Good evening, I'm Johnny Ratner. Problems a couple of miles east of Edinburgh for the A1 northbound, which is blocked in Wallyford and the Craighall Junction at the scene of a serious accident just off the Edinburgh City bypass. In Lancashire, the M65 remains closed westbound at Junction 10 at the Burnley turnoff. It's been the case since the early hours of this morning as recovery work continues after a lorry caught fire. And on to the trains. Well, buses replaced services between Stranraer and Bar Hill due to signalling problems, as far as we understand from ScotRail tonight. And that's the very latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, GBNews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you could be a spring winner, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag and not one, but 2 sought-after designer watches. Make sure you don't miss out, as lines close on the 4th of April. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win.